Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Sharp.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Copeland, before we broke, we were talking about the October 27, 2021 interview with Investigator Viverito and Investigator Kettle, correct? Okay. And you were being accused of possession of a firearm and driving offenses.
Yes.
And in that statement you gave on October 27, 2021, okay, you were denying possessing the firearm that was found in the car that they said was being driven by you.
Yes.
Okay. And what I was asking you about is about your pockets being searched after your arrest, right?
I'm listening.
Okay. And the reality is the police did search your pockets and they found a magazine and some bullets. And Investigator Viverito told you that, correct?
I don't recall.
Okay. You told Investigator Viverito that the magazine and the bullets were in your pocket because you had just grabbed someone else's pants and put them on, correct?
Yes.
The reality, Mr. Copeland, is that those were your pants.
Prove it.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you plead guilty to possessing a firearm in case 22 SC 182134 on June 28, 2023?
I play no.
Okay. And that was involving this incident, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough. Going to ask you about the shooting of Rich Homie Kwan's father's barbershop. Okay? Is that okay?
No.
Okay, well, I got to do it. You're aware that Rich Homie Kwan's father does own a barbershop in Atlanta, correct?
I guess.
Okay. 2014, someone shot up Rich Homie Kwan's father's barbershop, correct?
I guess.
Okay. And this was a big deal. Rich Homie Kwan, at least at that time, was a well-known rapper.
I'm listening.
Okay. And Rich Homie Kwan was trying to find answers to who shot up his father's barbershop, correct?
Yes.
I mean, he came to you for answers.
All right.
You knew Rich Homie Kwan, right?
Something like that.
Okay. And he came to you for answers, and he told you that he thought Trevante Turner, threat, shot up his father's barbershop.
Right.
And you took it upon yourself to convince Rich Homie Kwan that it was not threat.
Right.
And you did that, at least partially, because you knew that Rich Homie Kwan was thinking about putting money on Threat's head, correct?
I'm listening.
And when I say money on Threat's head, taking out a contract to have to have Trevante Turner, Threat, killed.
I'm listening.
$25,000, right?
I'm listening.
Okay. On January 28th, 2015, you were asked by investigator Dennis about the shooting of Rich Homie Kwan's father's barbershop, correct?
You say when?
January 28th, 2015, during the interviews that we've been talking about.
All right.
Okay. The interviews that you've said you lied in, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to ask to publish DS22A, which is States 378 Yankee Bravo. And the time is 7:24:00 to 7:27:30.
All right.
Okay, and on the screen, that's you, Investigator Dennis, and Investigator Gaither, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Damn, it's on point, like you got 25,000 LT killed. It's like from the picture you just showed. Nah, tell you we just got shot with him. Oh, in the car? Yeah. He had 25,000.
We're gonna get to Rich Homie Quan's father's barbershop in a second. Trevante Turner is now sadly deceased, correct? All right. When you were talking about him being shot back in 2015, he was also shot in 2015, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that was Shell Cal who shot?
I'm not for sure who shot him.
Okay.
Take killed. Who did? Just Rich on Quan shit. Cause he was telling me. So I'm telling Rich on Quan like, but you got any nigga in your house, you saying you shut up my house, bro. Right. Rich on Quan like, he like, bro, they just look like that, bro. Like we saying shit. Like, but still, bro, you out here hating me this and that. So Rich on Quan like, bro, it ain't dead. We saying shit, I just can't turn my back on it. Like, it ain't dead, bro. You support these niggas, bro. So the more you support them, the more they gonna come out and do it. If you leave them alone.
And in there, we still haven't gotten to the barbershop part, but in there, you're talking about conversations with Rich Homie Quan and his problems being linked to the Bloods, correct?
I guess.
Okay, and Rich Homie Quan not really being built like that.
For sure.
Okay. And the fact that he was scared to leave the Bloods, but in your opinion, they wanted to use Rich Homie Quan for his money.
I'm talking to the police.
Okay, but that's what's being discussed.
All right.
I'm not saying it's the truth. That's what's being discussed, though.
All right.
Okay.
Then everything gonna go away. Yeah. Then you're like, bro, just protect me, bro. We need y'all, bro. I need y'all to protect me. How the hell we gonna protect you? You and you got to do it. Then you're like, so you shot my truck, bro. That side of the truck. Man, you know what I mean? You been around. Like, no, I'll forget. You in there like this.
What did you have a 25 to do? Tell me it,
See, daddy got shot. Okay,
Rico.
we talking about in Rock. So how they say my name? On back here they say Tate. His name Tate did. I know it.
And just so we're clear, you said Rich Homie Quan's daddy got shot. So it wasn't just a barbershop that was shot. His barbershop was shot, but he actually got shot in the barbershop, correct?
I don't know nothing about all that.
Okay. Well, that's what you said. You said that Rich
I'm
Homie
talking to the police again.
Okay.
Can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm glad that Tate did like my. I know Tate did. You know what I'm saying? The night before we just did the party. Yeah, who did it? Somebody else did some.
Spit it out.
You know what that way? Some niggas that had money up there. You know what I'm saying? They got money. No, I'm not making it. A lot of niggas don't make it got money. That's why I started thinking, I couldn't think of the name, but this nigga supposed to have paid somebody on Johnson Road on one of the streets over there to do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? To kill him every time to get that corner. Or to target his daddy. Like the same age, we like, I was in the street, I seen corn crying. Oh, bro. And he tried to kill his dad. You know that, but him and Tate didn't have a problem. So that's why you think.
And you just, about 15 seconds before we paused it, you were talking about who shot up Rich Homie Quan's barbershop. Rich Homie Quan's father's barbershop. And you said a man from Bankhead with money hired someone from Johnson Road to do it, right?
I'm listening.
Is that correct? Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
Okay. Somebody from Bankhead, and when you say Bankhead, you're talking about Donald Lee Hollowell Road, right?
I guess.
Okay, well, you said it. Bankhead means street.
Bankhead mean the area.
Okay. That area off of Bankhead. And he paid someone from Johnson Road to shoot up Rich Homie
I ain't
Quan's.
say nobody to do nothing.
I didn't say you.
Oh,
The person from Bankhead with money, according to you in this interview, person from Bankhead with money paid someone from Johnson Road to shoot up Rich Homie Quan's barbershop.
Again, I'm talking to the police.
Okay.
Tape. Right. Him going through it and the tape with each other. But you don't even know they tape. Right. I don't have a problem, but tape is a school book. Mm-hmm. And they feel like they do retaliation. And it ain't. But I couldn't say him because no matter how many times I tried to tape, he always had in his head 10 years. Right. So I mean, that's true, man.
So that was about the other thing.
I called Tate, you know. I was gonna hesitate, but I had Tate put on me like, how about Friday or Thursday or Friday. Tate pulled out like, bitch, I'm going like $25 on your head.
Why so much?
He's scared of Tate. Yeah. He really scared, he's scared of Tate. So I said, Tate, like, bro, he can't face my thing. Bitch, I'm going for going to care. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like this was dead because the whole time he been his money on Tate's head. And he ain't do it, so when he going at the man out, that's on him, you know what I'm saying? But I ain't talk to Tate, so I don't know how I had, don't know where that, but I know Tate won't miss with nobody. Tate start doing whatever he's doing, he can run around there, he can't be around.
Okay. So let's unravel. And I'm not saying, Ms. Copeland, please understand, I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm just talking about what you told the police.
I told you, I told the police anything.
I understand. I understand that. Okay? But I'm just wanting to talk about what you said. I'm not saying it's the truth. In that story that you gave the police, you were saying that Rich Homie Quan was convinced that Trevante Turner, Tay, shot up his father's barbershop.
What I'm saying is, you think I'm letting somebody hurt my partner? So if I'm having a conversation with Rich Homie and he trying to put some money on my friend, you think I'm gonna really have that conversation with him? It don't make any sense.
Okay, but can I finish my question? So what you told the police, not saying it's the truth, what you told the police is that you talked to Rich Homie Quan and tried to convince him that Tay did not shoot up his father's barbershop because Rich Homie Quan had $25,000 on his head, right? That's what you told the police.
Never put the police on what's going on. Mislead the police. That's my always the mindset.
I got you.
All right, you keep talking about what I told them.
I understand. I think we're all on the same page.
We can't be.
Okay. Let me ask you another question. Okay, let's play the next clip. DS24B, which is 378 Yankee Delta. It's from February 21st, 2015, from 4/12/10 to 4/16.
You playing the video?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm trying to resolve the problem at hand. And I told you, the only way you start resolve to get this shit started and all this is you gotta talk to it straight up. That's it. You gotta talk to it straight up. Because if you're not, it's just gonna continue and continue and continue. And I hate to see you or anybody else come up there behind the bullshit because everybody wanna be going to the streets and they're trying hard to care to shoot Tay. I keep worrying about. They treat Tay well. I don't know, man, like that hiding.
Not saying it's true. You told investigator Gaither that Rich Homie Quan paid Shell Kell, to shoot Ted. Correct?
That's what I said.
Okay.
And then when Tay paused, Tay pulled a pizza right up. But when Tay paused and waited, give it a comment, come back out, so they started. Then my so-called sister, not my normal child, not like somebody you don't know a little bit. Go around tell the folks that I shot the house up. When she know the whole time they shit take up. So you see what I gotta go through? Hold on, let me get this straight. You said Quan paid who killed to shoot at Ted? To kill Ted. How much he paid? They supposed to be $25,000. Did he get it? I told Tate before that. told Tay, come pull up on me. Tay, pull up on me. I said, bro, look, bro. I love you there, bro. And you gotta wait, bro. Bitch on the corner, goddamn. You want you dead, bro. Cause somebody tried to reach on the corner dead at the box shop. Right. They think it was Tay. Yeah, they think it was Tay. It wasn't Tay. I don't know. Then the crazy thing about it, they, like, as I was listening, they were speaking on it like, it's what we talking about, banking with some money. I don't know who he was, who he is. I never heard. I heard his name, but I can't think what it is. But I know if I wasn't here, I know. But he supposedly had paid somebody to do it. But I'm telling you from the point, like, I know Tay ain't do it. You know, they ain't Tay not they gonna walk up and shoot nobody. So he like, well, I'm telling you, it was Tay. I'm like, no, it wasn't. He like, man, I'm telling you, I'm like, I know it wasn't, but I'm like,
All right. So in that interview on a different day, you're again talking about the shooting of the Rich Homie Quan's father's barbershop and of Rich Homie Quan's father, correct?
I'm listening.
Okay. And again, what you just said on that tape was someone from Bankhead with some money paid someone to do it, right?
Right.
Okay. So in two separate interviews, you told detectives that someone from Bankhead with some money hired someone from Johnson Road to shoot up Rich Homie Quan's barbershop. Rich Homie Quan's father's barbershop, correct?
I'm listening.
Is that correct? You said that in two different interviews. Okay. Now, the reality, Mr. Copeland, is once you are given immunity as a witness in this case, you testified in court earlier when Ms. Hilton was asking questions that it was in fact you and Trevante Turner who shot up Rich Homie Quan's barbershop, didn't you?
How many times you gonna go over this?
You and Trevante Turner, in fact, shot up Rich Homie Quan's barbershop, correct?
I'm listening.
The reality, Mr. Copeland, is the 25K on someone's head was completely made up by you, correct?
Right.
The reality is that somebody from Bankhead with some money, those details, somebody from Bankhead with money, that was completely made up, correct?
Right.
The reality is someone from Johnson Road being hired and you would recognize their name if you heard it. All that was made up on the spot, on the fly, in the mind of Kenneth Copeland, wasn't it?
Right.
That was you finessing. Just like Lil Mike and Quez were made up on the spot. The man from Bankhead with money, the man from Johnson Road were made up characters.
I done told y'all 100 times I don't lie. You see right here, keep trying to throw it in my face. I don't admit it till I lied.
I'm not trying to throw it in your face, Mr. Copeland. I'm giving you an opportunity to come clean.
I thought I did that.
Okay. Are these the type of details? You remember when you talked about details make your lies more believable to the police? Lil Quez from Etheridge, Lil Mike from Etheridge, Quez from Etheridge, man on Bankhead with money, man from Johnson Road. I would remember his name if someone said it. Are those the type of little details that you?
It's not like that.
I'm going to move on to another topic, okay? approach the witness with DS-30? Mr. Copeland, I'm asking you to look at DS-30. Do you recognize the person on the right of that photograph?
On who right?
On your right.
Yeah,
That's Donovan Thomas, correct?
there's no,
Okay, you call him not. And in that photograph, is that a fair and accurate representation of Donovan Thomas? That's a picture of him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and is he wearing a chain in that photograph?
look like it.
And that chain is in fact a peanut chain, correct?
I can't tell.
Well, okay, you're familiar with his chain, correct?
It's a peanut chain.
Thank you. Your Honor, I would move to admit DS-30 into evidence.
Admit it.
Mr. Kokomo, if you could publish that picture, please. Hanging from Mr. Thomas's neck is essentially what the planter's peanut man. It's a chain of the planter's peanut. And that is Donovan Thomas's chain, and that is a chain that he owned in 2015, correct?
I guess.
And he owned it in 2014 as well, correct?
Shit, I guess.
You are aware that in late 2014, Donovan Thomas's chain went missing, correct?
Right.
Someone stole it.
If that's what you want to call it.
Do you remember on January 11, 2015, the day you went to talk to Detective Thorpe? Detective Thorpe asked you about your relationship with Donovan Thomas, right?
On issue.
Mr. Kokomo, could you publish DS-18A, which is States 378 Yankee Alpha, which is January 11, 2015, 3:14:23 to 3:14:36. It's just 13 seconds, if you could listen.
Yeah, I talked first, they said, well, I didn't do it. I never had a problem with it. Ain't never had two words to each other. Me and that was always okay. You know what I'm saying? All the person I had a problem with was kids. But all that they do, when we see each other, each other, when they do him.
Okay, Mr. Kokomo, could you now publish DS-18B, which is from January 11th, 2015, 3:20:50 to 3:21:04 a.m.
So we never had a problem with nothing. Nothing like, okay, never cool. Okay. We just had a problem with the kid. Yes. Scrap killed him. So you bitch.
Mr. Kokomo, could you publish DS-18C, which is from the same interview, same exhibit, 3:30:31 to 3:31:02?
I switched up on it, so that's a half switch. But I know that they saying like, I didn't know it was no, I did wrong thing. I know that, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to go to jail, I ain't trying to deal, I ain't trying to go to nobody program, like none of this. Ain't never had a problem. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, I put surety, a person come on my picture and say, you gonna die tonight. They come on my picture and say, your history work? Yes, you gonna die.
And finally, Mr. Kokomo, could you play DS-18D, which is from the same interview, 3:41:50 to 3:42:45 a.m.?
didn't do it. Like, I'm lost, like right now, man, I really am, man. I'm scared, I'm lost, all the money, I can't even think, man, like, I don't know what to do, man, I don't, man. Cause my name come in everything, I keep saying it. But now somebody dead, and I say, look, I know how I feel to lose one, you know what I'm saying? I lost my closest friend, you know what I'm saying? And now, give me probation up, mama house and stuff like that, bro, like, and it ain't even dead, it's a game, it's the whole clip, you know what I'm saying? They deep, you know what I'm saying? That's the only thing I put fear in my heart, but now I watch out for everybody I go. I have to watch out, man, it ain't nothing I can do about it. I didn't have nothing to do with it. I didn't kill him. I didn't have him killed. I ain't never tried to fight him. I ain't never tried to rob him. I ain't never done nothing to him.
In that January 11th interview, you stated to Detective Thorpe on 4 different occasions that you never had any problem with Nut, that you and Nut were okay, correct?
I'm listening.
Okay. You specifically said, I've never tried to fight him, I've never tried to rob him, I've never tried to do nothing to Nut.
Right?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask Mr. Kokomo to publish DS-21, which is States 378 Yankee Beta from 8/11/50 to 8/13/18. Hold on one second, Mr. Kokomo. And Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm going to ask a couple questions first. Going to your January 28, 2015 interview. Well, in general,
Let's just get to your question. You want to know, did I take the change?
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But in 2014, Donovan Thomas's chain went missing, was stolen out of his car, correct?
Right.
All right. To people in hip hop, a chain is a very personal thing, correct?
I don't know.
You don't know that? Okay. Mr. Kokomo, if you could publish DS-21.
Like, and then, like, they would have somebody broke in that truck and gave me the phone and the jury. So when I realized I was sick, you know what I'm saying? What the hell? Can't run that shit. But I called him. Hey, man, I got your shit right here. Pull up on. He come pull up on. But before I gave that to him, I already did me. And he was taking the care like, come on, bro, I introduce you to these folks, bro. You just took them out. And he was like, he said, big pad, bro, kill this shit. Like, man, nigga, man. But nigga, what up? You know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, my shit, nigga, you ain't doing for me. Yeah, this one ring. You know what I'm saying? So, nothing, big pad, right, more pad, right, more pad, right, more pad, right. Tell him, man. And I didn't say that, like, man, fuck you, whatever, right, you know what I'm saying? But nut pull up, that one, you know what I know you. You know what I'm saying? Nut pull up, him and Green. Man, nut got each other, like, right here, you stuff right here, you know what I'm saying? Bro, he like, how you get it, bro? I ain't want to tell him, one of the young niggas on the deal broke in the car.
Okay. In that story, you were saying that someone stole a chain from Nut, correct? The peanut chain.
Yeah.
And that person, and not only his chain, but his ID, his wallet, his phone, correct?
Right.
And that person happened to give you Donovan Thomas's belongings.
Right.
And you said, you told the police, you realized it was Donovan Thomas's chain. And you called Nut and wanted to return his stuff, right? And specifically, right before we paused it, you said you didn't want to tell Donovan Thomas who took it, right?
Right.
You wouldn't want to tell Donovan Thomas who took it because Donovan Thomas is what some people might say is the big homie, right? He's a gang leader. You don't just take Donovan Thomas's chain and it's all cool, correct?
I don't know.
Well, that's why you wouldn't want to tell Donovan Thomas who took it, correct? You'd want to protect whoever took that chain. You wouldn't want Donovan Thomas gunning for that person for disrespecting his property, right?
Right?
Mr. Kokomo, could you play DS24D, which is states 378 Yankee Delta, which is from February 21st, 2015. And this is from 5:37:44 to 5:40:26.
Only find no refuge in Canada at night.
It's not playing.
So I'm told that one day.
Is it popped up now?
No.
Started again, Mr. Kokomo.
There you go.
Thank you.
Only find no refuge in Canada at night. So I'm told that one day. Somebody had one little pump go in the car. Stole their chain, their phone, their ID, my driver's license. And I gave it to him. Like, I got it. Ain't that shit, you yeah. I really thought they were gonna give me some of that for it. I called like, hey man, I got the shit, bro. Like, for real, bro? Like, yeah. Like, where you at? I'm out here from Canada. I'm on my way from Canada. He's like, all right, how do we get there? So he called me back, like, shit, I'm here, wait up. Alright. So when I get out there, I call him. He's like, pull up in there. Like, shit, I ain't got no ride now. I got to out right by the phone. I can pull up with that. I like to pull it like, I have a car from there. He pull up, bag in, how many feet? He got from 50. Big was in front of him. What's up? Like, what's up? She nuts came. Like, here you go. You ready? Got me up. Gave him up. Just show the thing. So when I gave him stuff, but I was finding no nut deals in Canada at night.
Again, on February 21st, 2015, you're telling that investigator about your partner stealing from Donovan Thomas and then giving you the chain and the phone and the wallet, and then you returning it back to Donovan Thomas, right? And you dapped him up, and you and Donovan Thomas were all good, right? Okay. January 11th, 2015, you repeatedly said you had no problems with Donovan Thomas, right? January 28th, you talked about the chain. It was someone else that took it. You returned it to Donovan Thomas, wouldn't tell him who took it, but y'all were all good, right? February 21st, 2015, you again repeated that story about one of your partners taking the chain, it ending up in your hands. You returned it to Donovan Thomas, you dap him up, you're all good, right? Mr. Copeland, the reality is, late in 2014, you broke into Donovan Thomas's truck. Isn't that correct?
The door was open.
The reality is, you knew that was Donovan Thomas's truck. You know what he drove, right? You went into his truck and took his peanut chain, right? You knew it was Donovan Thomas's peanut chain, but you didn't care. You wanted to disrespect Donovan Thomas. You wanted to take his stuff. Isn't that correct?
It wasn't about disrespecting him.
The reality is, Mr. Copeland, that Donovan Thomas called his phone and you answered. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
The reality is, you knew that Donovan Thomas knew that you stole his stuff.
I ain't stupid.
Objection, speculation.
The reality is that you knew you bit off more than you could chew.
What you mean by that?
Donovan Thomas was coming after you.
Objection, speculation. Based on evidence, relevance.
Sustained.
The reality is you made up this whole story about returning his chain, about your partner breaking in, and all the rest to try to throw Donovan Thomas off of your scent. Correct? But Donovan Thomas knew.
Objection, speculation. Based.
Sustained.
When you told Detective Thorpe on January 11th, 2015, that you ain't never had no problems with Donovan Thomas, that you and Nut were cool, you never brought up the chain, did you?
For what?
When you said you ain't never tried to rob him, you ain't done nothing to Donovan Thomas, you never brought up the chain, did you?
That ain't right.
You and Donovan Thomas were far from cool. TIG stands for Think It's a Game, correct? Ms. Copeland, TIG is Think It's a Game, correct?
You know it.
That's a record label.
I guess.
That's a record label that Donovan Thomas was associated with, correct?
I guess.
Run out of Summerhill
I don't know.
neighborhood in Atlanta. Mr. Bennett, also known as Lucci, wrapped under that label. Think It's a Game, correct?
I guess.
Think It's a Game had a studio on Metropolitan Avenue in Atlanta back in 2015, correct?
I guess.
You may.
Mr. Copeland, I'm going to ask you to look at DS31. Is that, do you recognize DS31?
Yeah.
Okay. That is the building that housed TIG Studios back in 2015, correct?
I guess.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that DS31 be put into evidence, be admitted as evidence.
All right, it's submitted.
That's the studio that Lucci went to make songs, correct?
I guess.
That's the studio that Donovan Thomas would be at, correct?
I guess.
That's the studio that Rich Homie Quan would be at, correct?
I guess.
You are aware that on January 8th, 2015, late at night on January 8th, 2015, the TIG studios were shot up, correct? You know that, right?
I'm listening.
You are aware that Rich Homie Quan's truck was struck by bullets on January 8th, 2015. His windshield was shot out, correct?
You don't know.
You're aware that Donovan Thomas was present at TIG Studios on January 8th, 2015. Isn't that true?
I don't hang up there.
DS22B, please, Mr. Kokomo. I would like to publish, Your Honor, DS22B, which is from January 28, 2015 interview, states Exhibit 378 Yankee Beta 7/24/39 to 7/25/06.
All right.
But it ain't dead, bro. You support these niggas, bro. So the more you support them, the more they gonna come out and do it. If you leave them alone, yeah, everything gonna go away. And you're like, bro, just protect me, bro. We need y'all, bro. I need y'all to protect me. How the hell we gonna protect me? You and you got to do it. Then you're like, so you shot my truck, bro. That side of the truck. Man, you know what I mean?
You are talking to the police about Rich Homie Quan asking you if you shot up his truck, correct? In that interview.
That's what he just said.
What did he have a 25 to do tight head on?
So, Rich Homie Quan questioned you about whether you were the person that was outside the TIG studio shooting up in that studio on January 8, 2015. Isn't that correct?
You can't question me.
Not talking about what you told the police. I'm talking about reality now. On January 6th, 2015, you were at Club Crucial.
I'm listening.
You were in possession of a large amount of money and you were showing off in front of a bunch of people that knew you, in front of a bunch of girls, correct?
I'm listening.
In front of all these people at this club, Kelvin Watts, Shell Kell, Donovan Thomas's brother, jumped you, correct?
I'm listening.
He tested you. He started punching you. He tried to take your stuff. He gave you a black eye.
He punched me in the back. He didn't hit me in he didn't face me off.
Well, you had a swollen.
The industrial grade products you need. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Domino's pepperoni stuffed cheesy bread is loaded with pepperoni. It's kind of like your favorite pizza's best friend.
Obviously, he went with me.
These men, Shell Kell and his friends, tested you publicly in front of a bunch of people, in front of a bunch of girls, correct? They tried to run your pockets, right?
I'm listening.
Pardon my language, it pissed you off.
Just like you is.
Okay. 2 days later, on January 8th, 2015, you found out that Nut and Rich Homie Quan were outside the TIG studios on Metropolitan Avenue, didn't you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You got in that rented Infiniti and drove up to that studio, didn't you?
Your Honor, objection assuming facts not in evidence.
I'll allow it.
You took your gun with you. You stood outside the fence and you shot at TIG Studios. And you put a bullet in Rich Homie Kwan's truck. Did you not?
You got proof?
Was Trevante with you when you went to the TIG Studios?
You got proof?
We're going to change the subject, Mr. Copeland.
All right.
To your understanding, now you pled to the possession of a firearm case from 2021. You pled to that recently, or this year.
Say that again?
You pled to that case this year, correct? Earlier this year, the possession of firearm that you were interviewed about in October 27, 2021?
I don't know if it was this year or last year.
Okay, fair enough. To your understanding, you still have a pending matter in front of the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, correct?
Shit, ain't no telling. I don't know.
Well, you discussed it. You gave an interview with the Danza Project recently, right?
Right.
All right, and you discussed a pending matter where your understanding is you are charged with filing a false report.
Oh yeah.
Okay. To your understanding, you're charged with false report of a crime and false statements, 2 felonies, correct?
Right.
And the allegation is that while you were at Fulton County Jail,
Relevance as to the specific conduct or specific, improper impeachment of specific extrinsic evidence of the specific incident that occurred.
Okay, I can't really hear you very well, but I think we might need to approach about this anyway.